Hi everyone, this is Stephanie, and this is the first lesson for the course. It's designed to help you develop your thesis statement for your final paper. The development of your thesis is going to support all future activities relating to your final project due in week 8. So let's get started on developing your thesis. Having the right thesis statement is the most important part of developing your essay. It gives the reader your purpose for writing the essay, it sets the basis for any research that you add to the essay, and it ensures all your thoughts remain organized throughout the essay. Above all, the thesis statement should be the very first thing that you create before you start writing anything at all. In the past, I've heard people say that they want to wait until after they've completed their work to narrow down their thesis statement. This rarely works and almost always results in disjointed, unorganized essays that tend not to read as one cohesive piece. You need to think of your thesis as a recipe. Say you wanted to make a pie. You wouldn't just go to the grocery store and buy everything pie related that you could find. Instead, you would go and you would start with a recipe, and you would use that recipe to guide you in getting the things that you need to make a pie. Without having the recipe, chances are you're going to wind up just making something pretty disgusting that barely looks like a pie, kind of like the thing on the left. The next step is choosing the right scope for your thesis. That means developing a thesis statement that's broad enough to allow you plenty of material to work with, while narrow enough for you to be able to cover the subject thoroughly. The first thing you need to look at is the required length of your paper. The longer it needs to be, the broader your statement needs to be. This starts off by developing a simple idea and narrowing it down as needed. So here's my sample thesis idea. Oranges. Now in this case, you have a 4-page paper due. Writing everything there is to write about oranges in 4 pages is a bit too broad in scope. After all, you could talk about oranges as a fruit, the color orange, the nutritional benefits of orange, the economic impact of oranges. All these are things you could discuss in relation to oranges, and covering them all in one paper is a bit much. So you pull out one idea related to oranges from this broad idea in order to narrow down the scope. So here's my better idea, the economic impact of oranges. However, even still, this is a broad idea to be covered in 4 pages. After all, oranges impact domestic and global economies. They drive migrant workers and even play a part in illegal immigration. They're also a major part of the stock market and commodities trading. All of these ideas are pretty extensive. They also might not be appropriate for the piece in question. For example, the final paper is a personal one. It asks you to share a personal story as part of the overall requirements. It would be a bit hard for most people to share a personal story about the economic impact of oranges unless they had had experience with that. In the personalized narrative you're asked to prepare, you'll need to be able to explain why this subject is one that's important to you. The best essays are ones where you're able to develop a personal connection with the subject you've chosen. So think about your subject and why it's important to you. Find a personal story or connection to it that you can share to make the personal essay more personalized. Now let's go back to the oranges and their impact on the stock market idea I mentioned earlier. When I think about oranges in the stock market, I can really only think about one thing. That's right, it's the movie Trading Places. The pivotal scene in the movie was one I did not understand when I was 8 years old. In fact, it's one that even adults today have difficulty understanding. All we really know is that apparently Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy got incredibly rich while the 2 main billionaire antagonists lost everything, and it all had something to do with frozen concentrated orange juice. I can use this as a jumping off point for my essay. I've narrowed down my idea from oranges to oranges in the stock market, and that gave me the final idea for a paper that explains how the 2 leads in Trading Places were able to use frozen orange juice commodities trading to become rich. Well, rich criminals guilty of incredibly unethical insider trading, but still. This is an idea that I can write about, use in a personal narrative, and research to create my final paper while proving my thesis statement, how frozen concentrated orange juice helped the good guys win. So I hope this thesis overview was helpful in creating your initial thesis ideas. Your 3 suggested ideas are due by Thursdays, and 1 is going to be used to develop your final paper for this class. So choose carefully, and here's a quick review of the requirements for the final paper. Good luck!